everybody, this is Jim from the Grey Curtain. Not only are we musicians in this band, we are also all audiophiles. Many of us work on other recording projects, we record our own music, and we've also all worked in live sound. I've worked in live sound for decades, doing sound for bands all up and down the East Coast, and I also sell music equipment, and we love to talk about gear here. So today we are going to be talking about microphones. Actually, we'll be talking about microphones for several videos. First, we're going to talk about vocal mics. Second, we're going to be talking about guitar microphones. And third, we are going to be talking about drum microphones. Now, I've recently become a convert to Electro-Voice microphones. What we wanted to do is we wanted to line up some of our favorite microphones. Microphones you're probably very familiar with, like the Shure SM58, the Shure SM57, against maybe some more obscure microphones, a company called Heil, some Audix microphones, and of course the Electro-Voice microphones. So that's what we're going to be talking about in the next few videos. So today we're going to start off with a microphone probably everybody is familiar with, the Shure SM58. The Shure SM58 is used in almost every bar and club and stage, from your local dive bar to your local arena show. It's an incredibly powerful microphone. It can be used for lots of applications, different kinds of singers, from soft female vocalist to a loud heavy metal vocalist, from your female operatic singer to a male, folk crooner or something, and everything in between. In a pinch, I've used an SM58 to mic drum kits, guitar amps, all kinds of stuff. So it's the most versatile mic, it's the most popular mic. But, and this is a big but, is it the best microphone for you? My biggest pet peeve in the world as a sound engineer is vocalists who show up and just use whatever microphone is lying around. Why? I know why I have to supply a microphone, but really, as a vocalist, you should be selecting your own microphone, a microphone that you know how to use, and a microphone that caters to your strengths and avoids your weaknesses. Personally, if I'm outfitting a bar, if I'm outfitting a school, if I need to buy a lot of microphones for a place, and they need to be used for multiple people, some people who know how to use a mic well, others who don't, I am almost always going to go with the Shure SM58. That being said, through the years, it's no longer my favorite mic. In fact, I like a whole lot of microphones better than I like the Shure SM58. So that's now my bias. What we're going to do is we're going to test the SM58 against several other microphones, and we'll see how it turns out. What I've got set up right here is a Shure SM58 and Shure's Beta 58. The Beta 58 has a bit of an extended frequency range, and it also tends to be a little bit of a hotter microphone, or so I've been told. So let's get busy recording. I chip away in my mind where rock is more like clay and splinters can be remolded. In my mind, where years can feel like days, pressure builds and I am folding. Think of you and I am drowning here. In my eye, you have abandoned me, the cold wind will devour. You will not stand beside us in this soul. So, first impressions, these mics performed exactly how I thought they would. I've probably got 1,000 hours or more on both of them, singing and then of course running sound. The SM58 is a very easy to use microphone. You don't have to be right on it, right down the barrel. You can be a little off axis. We call something off axis rejection is how much sound the microphone rejects from the side. Now, if you're giving this to somebody who doesn't have good mic technique, they are going to need that because they might do all kinds of crazy stuff like this. And the SM58 is going to pick that up. It's bad technique. Even with the SM58 though, you're going to get your best sound down the barrel. What we notice with some of the mics we go to later is that they reject more off axis. What that means is you have to sing down the barrel. You have to do a better performance, but you're going to be louder and it's going to feed back less. So we'll get to that in a few minutes. The difference between the microphones, the Beta 58 is definitely a little bit hotter and you get a little bit more of the high end. I don't notice it as much on my voice, but there are some singers where you really get that, you really get that action. And, both microphones sound good on the low end. They sound good on the high end. They're great mics. So if you need a standard microphone, you're not sure which one to get, SM58 is a great mic to have around. Or you spend a little bit more money, get the Beta 58, or get both. Now we're going to be testing two different mics. A few years ago, I became a convert to this microphone. The Heil, I believe you call it, a Heil PR20. And, I play, my band regularly plays shows in sort of some of the same venues, and sound engineers right away told me, wow, your microphone is so loud but isn't feeding back. And I'm a keyboardist, so I attach my microphone to my keyboard stand, and I play in all sorts of directions, and so other microphones were feeding back. This microphone has great off-axis rejection. I immediately felt more powerful as a singer because it just felt louder. The frequency response felt more responsive. It was a great microphone, and I never looked back. But very recently, I've got an EV ND76. Once again, the ND76, incredible off-axis frequency rejection. What this means is that it's not going to feed back. And once again, I felt it was very, very loud. Now, I've been interested to test the two microphones in sort of a more controlled environment, because one of the things that I found was that the ND76 has certain frequencies that just seem to cut through a mix more. So I'm curious, in a live environment, maybe that was better. I don't know if I'm getting as full a sound as I'm getting with the Heil. The Heil felt like an amazing full frequency. I was getting really good sound, but the EV seems to cut through a mix better. So very interested, excited to try the two side by side. I chip away in my mind where rock is more like clay and splinters can be remolded. In my mind, where years can feel like days, the pressure builds and I am folding. I think of you and I am drowning here. In my eye, you have abandoned me, the cold wind will devour. You will not stand beside us in this Great microphones. So my impression of them was actually pretty accurate. The Heil gives you a little bit more presence on the low range and in the mid range, And the ND76, the Electro-Voice mic, gives you more presence in that high end. Now, I will say, I think, again, this first impression, we'll look at these more closely in a little bit. I think I like the Heil a little bit better than I like the EV, and yet I can totally see, especially as a live sound engineer, how the EV is going to cut in the mix better because of that boost on the high end. Now, something else I'll say, they're both much louder than the 58, the SM58 and the Beta 58, and I think they have better frequency responses. In my impression, as a singer, these are just better microphones. They're also both cheaper than the Beta 58, and they're going to be a little bit more expensive than the SM58. So, if you are looking for a great microphone to try out, these are your guys. They also have fantastic off-axis rejection, as we're going to see. Again, in live situation, I've used both of these mics extensively over the last 2 years, and I've never gotten them to feed back. I get a lot of positive responses from sound engineers that they love these microphones. And people will come up to me afterwards and say, wow, you are so much louder than the other bands. Well, guess what? It's not because I'm a loud singer. It's because I've got great mics. So, we're going to test 2 more EV microphones, and then a little surprise at the end. Now, our next 2 microphones are super cardioid microphones. The first up is the EV ND86. If the ND76, which is the last mic we did, is similar to the SM58 in a pickup pattern, this is more like the Beta 58 in a pickup pattern. So super cardioid is going to have a tighter pickup pattern in the front, and it's going to pick up actually a little bit in the back. This should be louder, the bigger frequency response than the ND76. I'll be interested to try it out. And then, last but not least, we've got the ND96, a very interesting looking microphone, an extremely tight pickup pattern, meaning you really got to sing right down the barrel, but meaning it's going to reject an incredible amount of frequencies from the side. Great frequency range. This mic should be the best of the bunch. Now, price-wise, this is going to be a little bit, probably around the same price as a Beta 58, give or take, and I think the ND96 is a little bit more closer to that Sennheiser range. And we'll talk about the Sennheisers in a little bit. I chip away in my mind where rock is more like clay and splinters can be remolded. In my mind, where years can feel like days, the pressure builds and I am folding. I think of you and I am drowning here. In my eye, you have abandoned me, the cold wind will devour. You will not stand beside us in this hour. Once again, we've got 2 really great microphones. They were loud, they were clear. These almost feel like a condenser mic as far as the amount of detail that you get. I don't notice any particular frequency jumping out at me. They're very balanced microphones. They're clear, fantastic. One thing I did notice on the 86, I'm getting a little bit more breath noises and a little bit more, I don't know, like peas or some shaking there that I wasn't getting on the 96, and I didn't notice it on any of the other mics we tried too. So, I don't know, that's something to keep in mind. Again, we haven't tested and we will. The off-axis rejection of these microphones is fantastic. So really high-end microphones. If you are in a situation where you want extreme detail, these might be your microphones. These are some of the best microphones I've ever used, dynamic microphones I've ever used. So really, really impressive. What I'm doing is a crime against humanity. A lot of times, you will see, especially in metal and hip-hop, somebody take a microphone like an SM58 and do what we call cup it. They literally will cover the back of it and sing into it. This creates a sort of lo-fi sound into the microphone that's great for sort of screaming and yelling and sort of growly Cookie Monster vocals. The problem is it feeds back like a son of a gun. It really destroys your sound. It is not a good thing. People think it looks cool. It's not a cool behavior. I'm not just saying that, not like anti-looking cool on stage. Obviously, it causes problems. Mostly feedback, very strange frequencies, all kinds of issues. So, somebody invented a solution. I present to you the Heil Fin. Not only is it one of the coolest looking microphones with the little raised fin on the top and lights that light up when you send phantom power through the cord, it's a microphone you can cup. A dynamic microphone that rejects feedback in fairly positive ways, actually sounds really great, and is great for lead singers who want to walk around and make an impression visually as well as sonically. Let's give it a listen. I chip away in my mind where rock is more like clay and splinters can be remolded. In my mind, where years can feel like days, the pressure builds and I am folding. I think of you and I am drowning here. In my eye, you have abandoned me. The cold wind will devour. You will not stand beside us in this soul. First impressions, it's a great sounding mic. I definitely didn't like it as much as the higher end EV mics, or even the it might be close to the Heil PR20, but I liked it better than the SM58. I like better than the Beta 58, and I didn't notice at all when I cupped that microphone. My singer has used this microphone for a couple of years now in live situations. He walks around with the microphone. He's very dramatic. He cups that microphone. It doesn't cause feedback. The mic sounds great. So if you are, a dedicated lead singer, somebody who has the ability to walk around with a microphone, I would say that's a great call. I think if you're somebody like me, where you're a keyboardist and you're sort of stuck in position, or you're a guitarist and you're maybe just looking to sing into a microphone, I think you're probably going to get better bang for your buck with one of the other microphones that we tried out. But Dennis, very expressive, can walk around, it looks cool, it lights up his face, it looks great in pictures, it sounds good, and he is happy with it on stage. That's the most important thing. When you have a microphone and you're singing into it, are you struggling to be heard? Are you struggling to have it sound responsive? Does it sound soft when you're soft and medium when you're in mid-range? Does it sound loud when you're loud? Does it pick up the lows, the mids, the highs? That microphone sounds good. Most of these all these microphones really sounded great. And so they will all work. They're going to be individualized. Now, at this point in time, I should give a shout out to two microphones we didn't try, the Sennheiser 835 and the Sennheiser 935. Now this whole idea of a microphone shootout came about when Enrico, the Electro-Voice rep from Audio Pros, came into Guitar Center in Warwick, where I work, and he had some microphones, and we wanted to test out his microphones against a few others. And I decided then to borrow his microphones and do a recording. In that microphone shootout, we learned kind of what we've heard today, that the EV mics perform really, really super well, and I liked them better than the Shures. Now the Sennheisers, the 835 is about the price of the SM58, and I maybe liked it a little bit better than the SM58, but not as much as the other Electro-Voice mics. The 935 is much more expensive, almost twice as expensive as the SM58, more expensive than most of the EV mics, more expensive than the Heil mics, and it sounds great. The 935 sounds fantastic. So unfortunately we didn't have that to test out today, but the 935 is another great mic to use. Now the other thing I will say is that microphones, every microphone is going to give you a flavor. It's going to give you a color. There's no such thing as the best microphone. What we've done today is we've sort of used them in this sort of, we're not editing the audio for pitch or performance. You're sort of getting what you're getting. And what we're trying to show is that each one of them sounds a little bit different. Now, one of the things I've noticed is because of that, it's all really dependent on your voice. I did another microphone shootout with a customer of mine, and the Shure 58 and Beta 58 sounded much better than the Sennheisers on his voice, which surprised me. So, part of it is taste, part of it is the kind of voice you have. It really depends. What we've seen today, these are all great microphones. Really looking forward to taking a closer look at them.